Since 2003, this is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
The Sports Source is presented by Junk Be Gone, Pipe Wrench, and the Garza Law Firm.
The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios for today's edition of the Sports Source. For the first time since 2003, the Volunteers got a win in Gainesville last night. That's the first time since 2003 when this show was in its infancy. That was our first year doing the Sports Source. It has been that long since Tennessee has won in Gainesville. Josh Heupel has now beaten Florida 3 of the last 4 years. It's the first time Tennessee has done that since Philip Fulmer was the head coach in 01, 03, and 04. Heck, Will Overstreet was on that team. That's how long ago that was. We are going to have a lot of fun today. Tennessee win at Florida. We're going to give you a chance to enjoy it. We're going to have a lot of fun right off the bat. Broke out the big win jacket only the third time. Alabama 2022, when Tennessee made the first Elite Eight under Rick Barnes. And for those of you who say, Pennington takes himself so seriously. Obviously not. We'll be having fun today, so let's get right into it. First segment of today's show brought to you by Junk Be Gone. They've got a turkey time special for you this week. If you book a 7-day dumpster rental Monday through Wednesday of this week, it'll be just $339. If you book a 9-day rental, either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday this week, it'll cost you just $369 for 9 days. Call Junk Be Gone tomorrow, Tuesday, or Wednesday to set up your 7-day or 9-day dumpster rental, and you're going to get those big Thanksgiving savings. JunkBeGone.biz. Had a viewer reach out to me and say they used them this week and how appreciative they were of the tip. Trust me, follow my advice, get to Junk Be Gone. All right. Or call Junk Be Gone, I should say. I don't think they want you just showing up. Right over here, Josh Ward is with us today leading the pack from 99.1 The Sports Animal. VFL Will Overstreet, VFL Marlon Walls, and Bob Hodge right there, longtime member of the panel. He was on that show way back in 2003 when Tennessee beat Florida in Gainesville the last time. If you had told me Tennessee would win, okay, I could picture that. Tennessee's probably they should win down there, but we've all seen the Gainesville thing enough times that I wasn't going to pick it. But if you'd told me they would lead 31-0 at one point and just absolutely do everything right all night, shades to me of the 1995 streak-busting win at Alabama when the Manning to Kent first play, and it's like, yeah, just relax, this is the night. If you told me that was going to happen, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have seen 31-0 coming. Unbelievable. Will, like me, you and I have said for years, we'll believe it when we see it. Yep. Well, we saw it. Thoughts on the game?
We did, and it was the best game of the year by the UT offense and defense. I mean, they rushed for 248 yards. Wouldn't have thought they'd been able to go over 200 yards. They held Florida to 2 of 9 on third down. They only committed 4 penalties for 25 yards. We had 0 turnovers. That's winning football at its best right there. I just looked at this game, and it was the first game I'd seen on the road where it looked like their communication was working. They were able to change plays. You didn't see those nasty penalties going down to the clock winding down. So it looked like the first game that I've really seen in a big-time, especially night game in the SEC, where your offense was able to really work like you wanted it to work. And that was a big change. So I just, hats off. It was a great game plan. They obviously knew what Florida was going to come out and do. They took it to them, and you know, really was one of the best games I've seen them play this year.
Marlon.
John, I knew this was going to happen, man.
Yeah, on the Saturday show, you picked them 30-17, so you were the closest to the pin.
Yeah, I had it 30-17, but I didn't know it was going to get that ugly that fast. Yeah. This was a game plan where Josh Heupel understood the magnitude of this game. He's been hearing the chatter as what I saw last night.
From
He's
us.
been here, from all of us. Hey, we got to go win this football game, or we can't win this football game. He put together the perfect plan, and he wanted to blow the doors off the football game. And he actually could have done that, but man, I would say, man, he did a great job. The coaching staff did a great job. The guys understood the passion behind this football game, and they knocked the air out of Florida super early. And left no doubt that, hey, we are the better football team. We are the better football team in Gainesville tonight. So Great job by those guys.
Multiple interviews yesterday talked about the fact that they prepared a video, and with VFL Films, you can imagine it was a pretty good video about the history of that series, because you've got so many guys coming in now that didn't know the history, and he said it really fired them up quite a bit. So, Bob, your thoughts on that win in Gainesville?
I think after you went through the Oklahoma loss, the open date, kind of a lethargic game against New Mexico State, I was thinking, okay, Tennessee's going to go down there, and Florida just needs a little bit of a spark, and this becomes a ball game, because they got a little bit of a spark the week before at Ole Miss. They beat Texas. And what Tennessee did, just absolutely crushing them from the get-go. I think when it was 14-0, I thought this is almost over. And at 21-0, I did think it was over. And you know me, I never think a game is over. And so when it got to be 21-0, I just thought, okay, this is done. And Florida did look like they kind of just sort of, this is what it's going to be. But the impressive thing about it, too, and we talked about it on the show last week, it's not like Florida doesn't have athletes. It doesn't like they've got players that are comparable to Tennessee's, and so a real compliment to Josh Heupel on how well Tennessee's guys played up to a level that they're capable of, whereas Florida's just looked like, okay, you got together Monday and tried to play a game on Saturday.
So you're saying the Vols wanted it more?
That's what it always comes down to that.
Josh, your thoughts on the big victory?
Yeah, the thing is, both teams wanted it going in. Florida players made it clear, we know about the streak, we don't want to let it go.
Crowd was loud and into it.
Yes.
This was kind of the last thing they could do this season, was at least this Florida team could end the season saying, hey, we kept the home streak alive against Tennessee. But Tennessee went down there and took it to the Gators immediately. Great opening drive. Defense gets a stop. Florida made mistakes. Tennessee didn't make mistakes. Florida has that holding call that brings back a 40-plus yard play where they could have gone down the field and scored and tied the game, and then all of a sudden, hey, do we have a back-and-forth game?
Yep.
But Tennessee gets a stop there after the mistake by Florida, scores again. It's 14-0, and I think both sides could feel, hey, we're in control on Tennessee's side, and we're in trouble on Florida's side.
Good producing. That's where I was going next, with the fact that, we said a few weeks ago that Oklahoma game, the strip sack. If that doesn't happen, does Tennessee just go on and win that game? And I think we all said yes. I'm not saying they would have lost if that holding, but how many of you, the 43-yard run where nobody can tackle anybody, how many of you are sitting there like I was going, here we go. Here we go. It's going to be back and forth. But they get the holding call, and it was like, you're not good enough to overcome that.
Yep.
So I thought that was a huge play in air, and it was a legit holding call. It's just, dumb play on their part, which is why they're 3-8 now.
Yeah.
In terms of the culture, what does this say? We're talking about Tennessee coming out there, and you had guys who were banged up. That we asked the question, how many business decisions are you going to have?
Yep.
Didn't see a lot. Didn't see a lot of business decisions. You saw guys out there, even Wendell Moy, who was banged up against New Mexico State. I don't know that he played more than one snap, but he came in there when Sanders was down and they needed a guy in the backfield on that trick play. Now, they wound up calling a timeout. Not a trick play, but the funky formation. Moy was out there, which tells me everybody was like, hey, you need me, I'm ready to go. What does this say about what Heupel has built here? Because there are a lot of fans who said, you're not in the playoff, wasted year. His team obviously didn't feel that way.
I think he's –
Go ahead.
I think he's done a great job. And, again, you see that because all the things you just pointed out. But then also making sure these guys understand the passion behind this football game. Because now it makes it bigger than yourself. It makes it bigger than, hey, I'm a little nicked up. It's now, hey, we got a chance to go do something special. And I got a chance to do this with my group of guys and for our coach that's been picked at and saying, hey, you can't win this football game. So that right there, I think from a coaching standpoint, that's one of your biggest challenges is making guys in the locker room believe in something, especially in this NIL portion where everything has to be about yourself and there's agents involved and all the rest of that. So these guys obviously did a great job of like, hey, we're going to do this thing together. Whoever's needed, we're going to show up. We're going to be ready to roll.
And for a game, it did answer the question, which you were just talking about, that in this day and age, does something like a bowl game and getting to 10 wins mean something to players anymore? When you've got the playoff and anything short of that is considered failure, okay, then what else is it? And for at least one game, it did look like Tennessee's guys, okay, getting to 10 wins, breaking the streak at Florida, that sort of thing, it does mean something to them.
Thoughts on what it means?
Yeah, I think just in general, it's got a strong culture. I think that's what everybody's described. What he came in and took over was a bad culture, right? Everybody talked about that. everybody's out for themselves. He's put in some things that even in an NIL day, where you have to do is align everybody's selfish motivations to the team motivation. And he's been able to do that. Looking at this game yesterday, I have to say that was a great job in getting that team motivated and ready to go. And when you're able to do that with a bunch of guys and a lot of different personalities in this day and age, that's an accomplishment in and of itself when you're able to get over that hump.
Yeah, I thought it showed a rise in the standard of the program where, hey, maybe we're not going to the playoff this year. Maybe that's not going to happen. But we can still get to 9-3 and not be 7-5, not lose to Florida again. And also I thought there was a respect to the fans and the former players, too, because they talked leading up to the game and afterward. Hey, former players, this was a big deal for the fans. They celebrated with the fans there. I thought that was a pretty big statement from the culture of the program.
Yeah, went by after the game and gave the high fives to the fans that were down there, and Heupel talked about it after the game. You've now won 3 out of 4 road games in the SEC this year, and I know it was Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Florida, and those aren't great records. You guys have played in the SEC. That is not easy to win on the road, especially when we talk about the fact his offense typically isn't quite as good on the road as it is at home. So to win 3 on the road, that's pretty good. But for this team, the one thing that's positive is, they don't have the playoff. They couldn't get Georgia, couldn't get Alabama this year. What are you going to be remembered for? Well, you're going to be remembered now. You're the team that went down and snapped the streak at Gainesville, and that is a forever thing. Hopefully you start a streak for Tennessee winning down there. But to be the group, how many times have you heard the name Casey Clausen this week? Because he was the last quarterback to go down there and win. So this team, which may have, they endured a quarterback leaving in spring practice. Your 2 best corners were hurt this year. You didn't make the playoff, but you snapped a pretty big streak, and you're going to be able to put that on the team's, I don't want to say epitaph, but, the monument to your team. Hey, we did this, and that's pretty good.
And the other thing is, and you removed a guy on the team that you didn't think was living up to those standards this week, and your team still came out and played.
Good point.
Sometimes that can be a problem area where if you remove this guy, the team looks at it and has a bad feeling about it. But obviously he knew how the team was feeling about it, and he made the right call, and he said, hey, we're going to move on from this guy, and we're going to move him out of the program.
Which just underscores, again, that culture part of it. Yeah. All right, very good. When we come back, despite what I thought was a great win, a terrific win, a fantastic win, there were still some folks who weren't happy and weren't giving a lot of style points to the Vols for their victory last night. Did Tennessee get too conservative too soon? I could show you my text, but I'd have to bleep a lot of it, X it out. A lot of people thought they were going to blow it last night. We'll discuss whether Tennessee got too conservative. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Winter is almost here. That means any building project that you're about to start in your home or outside, you're going to need winter weather materials. A.G. Hines Company carries that stuff. They know what you need when you go in there and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. How do they know what you need? Well, they've been in this business since 1920. 105 years of experience tells you, yeah, they're pretty good at this. aghines.com to learn more. You can visit them downtown Knoxville, just a stone's throw from the old World's Fair Park. A.G. Hines Company on Hines Street. All right. Want to welcome in the next group of panelists we have over here. Chuck Cavalier,
yes,
thank you. You got the line coming up because we got some big pick'em day.
As a matter of fact, the line is, not going to say.
There you go. VFL Daniel Hood, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Have you got a voice?
I got a voice, baby.
VFL Sterling Hinton. I'm guessing you enjoyed that last night.
Man, a real way.
All right, we got a poll question for you. Enough with this positivity. Will the Florida win hold up regardless of next week's result?
Wow.
Absolutely. It's a win over Florida, 21%. You can't lose to Vanderbilt, 79%. I had a feeling that's what the answer would be, but it is a tough world when you win at Gainesville and people are like, doesn't matter unless you win the next one. But that's our question. You can tell us. Go to take your smartphone, point it at that QR code right under the Hearthside Bank symbol, and play along with us. We always appreciate you taking part. Absolutely, it's Florida. It counts. It doesn't matter what happens next week, or, yeah, it matters. It ain't going to mean nothing if you lose to Vanderbilt. Okay. Gentlemen, the Vols raced out to a 31-0 lead in the first half. Never a second did I feel like they weren't in control of that game and the clock. Yet every time Florida would complete a pass or gain a first down, Bob and I would hear from angry people. It's like, what are they doing? They don't care. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing.
An embarrassment was what I was told.
Losing the second half. They're losing the second half.
Oh, I even got lost the third quarter.
Lost the third quarter. Here's the thing. When you and I, the two old guys in the balcony for the Muppet Show,
Yes.
when you and I are the ones saying stop and smell the roses, there are some people that are off the reservation. So, Bob, did Tennessee get too conservative, or did they play this just right?
You know, the only thing I thought after halftime that gets Florida back in that football game is quick points, a quick turnaround.
Pick sixes.
31-0. Say you get a pick six, 31-7. Okay, you're still in control. Then maybe Florida puts together a drive and it's 31-14. You've got the crowd, what would have been left of it after halftime, back in it. But I was sitting there, it was still 31-0, 2 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the third quarter when I was getting a text that said, this is an embarrassment. Our defensive coaches don't know what they're doing. Now, would you have liked to see Tennessee get them off the field as Florida ran down the clock? I was perfectly happy.
Keep running it, morons. I love it.
Score a touchdown. There is not enough time left in this game for you to have to do this 4 times. And I thought Tennessee was smart, the way they played it.
Sterling.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and we've said there are times when they have gotten a little conservative a little too soon. Up 31-0 at halftime, that's not too soon. That's when you use that clock as part of your weaponry, in my opinion. Former quarterback, what do you think?
Same opinion, John P. And when I saw Florida come out with the running attack, because initially I thought, well, it could be another thing the week before, South Carolina, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Whoa, but then they started running the ball. Well, the clock is not your friend when you're down that much. And I thought Tennessee did a classy job about handling that lead. It's very seldom do we see teams in these day and age handle a lead classy. And I think we went down there, handled our business, and we won the game with class. And that's what I like most about yesterday's game.
What did you think, Daniel? Are they too conservative too soon?
No, I absolutely loved it. And I got to play on a team that was on the opposite side where, like, Tennessee's last drive took over 8 minutes in the game. And Marlon and I played on a team against Dak Prescott. And to have a team control the football for 8.5 minutes, to go out and win the game like they did at the end of it, completely demoralizing, takes all your pride out of it. And being able to watch that at the end of the game, to take that from Florida, you'll never take that memory away.
Well, I had somebody text me in the second half to play off that. It was like, you can't keep having these 3 and outs. Let's take a look at Tennessee's drive chart from yesterday. It's pretty impressive. We've got the graphic. So there's your drive chart from yesterday. 75-yard touchdown, 60 yards touchdown, 67 yards touchdown, 46 yards touchdown. You finally had to punt. Then you get the field goal at the end of the half, and that may be one. I was talking to Ollie last night, and my thought was, when he gets down there and doesn't take a shot, he's picturing that pick six against Alabama in his head. He had visions of Aguilar's pick six dancing in his head. All right, so that might have been one place where you might have taken a shot. Second half, you only had 3 drives. So you all these 3 and outs, you only had 1 all night in the second half, period. But look at those last 2 drives, folks. 26 plays, 110 yards, 13.5 minutes. That is absolutely demolition domination. Chuck, did you think they got too conservative, or you agree with the rest of us?
Did they get conservative? Yes. Was it too conservative? No. Because are you going to give your opponent the spark that they obviously don't have? You know, like the Oklahoma, we've talked about it, Oklahoma game, the Alabama game. I kind of go to the Herm Edwards school of thought. Play to win the game. And that's what you did. I mean, but I think those people would complain if it was like 80 and sunny and just a slight breeze.
Yeah, that's my role. So why are they? The thing it reminded me of, though, one, for those people that are like, you can't ever take your foot off the gas, you got to keep going. Go tell that, as a Patriots fan, go tell that to the Falcons. They kept going and going, and turning the ball over back to the Patriots, and that's how you come back from a 28-3 deficit. Steve Sarkisian wishes he had done that. But no, that was Kyle Shanahan was the Sarkisian. Anyway, he was the offensive coordinator there at the time. The other one it reminded me, though, of, and this would be a bad memory, 1996, Steve Spurrier comes up here to Tennessee and builds a 35-0 lead in the second quarter. And then he takes the air out of the ball. he absolutely sits on it. Tennessee races back in the second half. They score a touchdown with 10 seconds left that makes it look, it's 35-29, makes it look closer. Spurrier just walked out with a happy victory because you were playing him and the clock. And if he ever needed to put his foot on the gas again, he would have. That's what you did to Florida last night. Basically, you put your hand on their head, and all they could swing at you, and they couldn't get you.
Well, and that's what I was answering some of these texts. I said, win the game by 1 point.
Yeah.
Just win.
Right.
Have your
win, baby.
recriminations later, but enjoy winning in Florida.
After
I mean, the last time down
22
there, I
years.
could drink bourbon and not Geritol. I mean, that's all it's been.
After 22 years of not having a victory over Florida down there, 10 straight games, right? I'll take a win
Yes.
and don't care.
Exactly.
I do care. And the creativity in the first half, that was great. I didn't hear any complaints about that until the very end of the half, kind of. But no, you play to win the game.
All right, when we come back, let's talk about the Vols' creativity, and we'll talk about their use of Ethan Davis. Come on back on the Sports Source. Let's get positive again. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Oakmont Station. High quality, fresh ingredients, an ever-evolving menu that showcases the best local flavors. Handcrafted food and drinks to surprise and satisfy. This holiday season, get yourself to Oakmont Station and see for yourself what sets this West Knoxville restaurant apart. Or visit oakmontstationknox.com to learn more crafty food and drink at Oakmont Station. All right. There are your Heupel keys. Hit all of them but one. The only thing you didn't hit was allowing 99 yards or fewer. So Florida, because they kept running in the second half, I'm guessing he was happy with that. Florida did get over 99 yards or get to 100. So every other key, though, they nailed, including rush for 3 touchdowns or more. Tennessee now 28-0 under Heupel when they do that. That's a heck of a stat. Okay, I want to welcome in the last member of today's panel right there. VFL Ollie Lane is with us. Ollie, thanks for being here.
Oh, anytime.
Josh Heupel has one of the most high-powered offenses in the country, and yet, it's second only to, as you saw in a graphic we put up yesterday during the Saturday kickoff, this is the second highest scoring Tennessee offense, only to your 2022 bunch. Wow. So it's a great offense, but we nitpick it. It's what we do. We grumble, we gripe, we say, well, this didn't work. Yeah, but this didn't work. That's what these shows are. But last night, for those of us who've been saying it would be nice if you saw some more creativity, my goodness, Ollie.
Yeah.
That was very creative in that first half, as Chuck said in the last segment. You saw a lot of different formations.
Oh, yeah.
You saw them setting up plays. I don't think you could ask for much more in terms of Josh Heupel saying, I'm whipping out the book, and we're going to find all the stuff Florida's never seen before.
Yeah, no, it was great to see. It was one of the keys that I had for this game. You got to get creative offensively, and especially with the running game. I love the in-around that they had to Mike Matthews, just getting someone else that's explosive with the football, the ball, and an unorthodox.
He was the third guy to touch it on that play.
Yeah, and it worked great. He ended up getting 20 yards on that run. But then you also saw, I really liked how they went with the design. Hey, Bishop, you're going to be the heavy back tonight. He had 24 carries, most carries he's had all season, and did a really good job with that. But then to your point, they were setting up plays left and right, which is something that you haven't seen a lot happen this year. Like in that first drive specifically, you got Ethan Davis coming to seal the edge. Well, then later on in that drive, you have him slip off that edge for the touchdown catch. I mean, that's just the ways of which his creative mind thinks and can set things up for us. You want to see more of it as you go along, especially in the running game aspect of it. Because, look, the throwing game has gotten very creative throughout the years. You know, he's changed the offense from where it was in 21. But the running game can still use some more creativity. But I like the routes and the ways that they went to things to attack against Florida.
You also had a play that they threw out there. They didn't get to run it. It was the short yardage play, and they got a timeout before. I mentioned it in the first segment where Wendell Moy actually came out there. But you had Aguilar under center, 3 guys behind him, including Moy, and then another guy behind him. Chris Fowler said, I've never seen this formation before. These guys call a lot of football games. They're not young guys. They've seen a lot of plays. So to throw something out there and them say, I've never seen that before. I thought they were very creative as a quarterback. You had to enjoy that last night.
I
Any
loved
thoughts?
it by the pound, man. Put it in a case and sell it by the six-pack. You hear me? I loved it, brother.
Like Al Wilson's
Like Al Wilson's
hard
team,
team.
you got to bang it, and they hit him hard last night. And that's what I liked about what happened. Yes, I think Coach Halsey and Coach Heupel did a lot of things to highlight, Joey Aguilar's his skill set. He ran the ball a couple of times in key situations. That formation, when the quarterback himself, Herb Street, said, never seen that before. Well, we got a timeout. They put some on somebody's head. Yeah. And what I also like the fact is that after we got the lead so comfortable, we didn't put anything else on tape for Vanderbilt to see. Because in my opinion, all that creativity that happened, there was some other plays that could have happened off the plays that we did run that we didn't show, and I love it.
No, you're going to need to be just as creative next week against Vanderbilt. Will Overstreet, there was also, Ethan Davis has been hurt an awful lot in his career, and I know they go with Miles Kitzelman because he's a better run blocker. I think this offense, if it's me, then I bring him in to run block. But Ethan Davis is my starting tight end because he's just more of a weapon.
Yeah, he's more like Fant a couple years ago, who they would run the ball with. He threw touchdown pass. They had a lot of things they could do. It was very versatile. And I think if you look at this, if you have a defense that watches that tape, defensive coordinator, he's going to go, who am I more concerned about being in the game? And if I'm a linebacker, who am I more concerned about being in the game? Because Ethan Davis, as he saw in that play-action pass play, one, I've got to go in and take the block, but this guy's fast enough to leave me. And that's a problem. And so I just look at this as I always try to look as like, who would I play in a game? Is who is the defensive coordinator in the other team? Are they going to say, who do I not want to see? And I think you have to say at this point, Ethan Davis is the guy that is the more of a threat for a lot of different things, and he should be the guy that you use more of moving forward.
Well, you talk about getting an opposing defense, and in this case, we're talking about Vanderbilt next week trying to prepare for Tennessee. So Brazel, Staley, Matthews, Davis, those are four legit SEC weapons that they're going to have to try to deal with next week. I love the play to Matthews. Last year at the end of the season, we were talking about yards after catch, not a lot of catch and run.
Yeah.
Matthews, Staley, Davis last night, they have catch and run potential in this offense as well. And then Bishop, we've talked this season about establishing that number one guy. He was established last night, really has been over the last couple of weeks.
Matthews caught the ball last night, too. It was. I thought Matthews had his best game, personally. I don't know. Numbers-wise, it wasn't his best game. I thought it was his best game. I'll say the same thing. I'm guessing he'll pop up in the 3 up, 3 down. Aguilar's numbers weren't spectacular. I thought that was his best game. Completely in control, accurate all night. If you could draw that up every week, I would take
totally
that.
in rhythm.
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, speaking of guys who are in a rhythm right now, have you seen Diego Pavia's numbers for the last 3 games? Let's talk about Tennessee's defense versus Diego Pavia. My opinion, toughest challenge of the year. We'll see if our VFL defenders and Ollie agree with that. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. When the weather starts to turn cold, bugs start trying to creep in. Keep them out with a visit from Southeast Termite and Pest Control. More than 50 years in business. This is East Tennessee's largest locally owned, family-owned pest control company. Trust me when I say you can trust your house to them, because I trust mine to them. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Good folks. All right, let's remind you of the poll. You can jump in to see where that is. Oh, man, it's gone more toward can't lose to Vanderbilt. Congratulations, Coach. We appreciate the Florida win. Next, get you nothing. It's a rough job. But you can tell us if you agree that 82% say that this Florida win means nothing if you lose to Vanderbilt. 18% of you say, no, it's Florida. It still counts. So go ahead and play along. And for those of you, I just realized people tune in during the show. Anybody tuning in is like, what the hell is he wearing? We do this with this is only the 3rd time we've broken out the big game win jacket. So we have a little fun here and act a little silly at times. Take a look at Diego Pavia and his numbers over the last 3 weeks. I know that's hard to read, but that's game by game against Texas, against Auburn, and against Kentucky yesterday. Look over on the far right. Those are the tallies. 85 of 110 passing. Last 3 games. 1,226 yards, 77.2% completion percentage versus 3 SEC foes, 11 yards per attempt, 11 touchdowns against just 1 interception. Oh, and running the ball, he's rushed for 200 yards and 3 more touchdowns. This is just, you don't see stats like this in the SEC. I don't like guys with big mouths that talk and showboat and do all that stuff, so I'm not a Pavia fan. That said, if he isn't either 1 or 2 in the Heisman race this year, it's a travesty. Much like we already know it's a travesty from back in 1990.
There you go.
Daniel, is this Tennessee's toughest challenge for their defense this year?
Absolutely. You look at the way he plays the game, and like when he makes the decision to run the football, he plants his foot and runs. He's not tiptoeing. He's literally hitting the hole. And then you think as a defensive line, you got to change up how you rush. You got to have your quarterback points that you're hitting every single play, because if you he's finding that gap and he's making you hurt.
Guys, defenders, what do you think?
77% or 71% of their completion.
No, 77.
77, right. I think that's the toughest thing. Like, we've seen our secondary times have some struggles. We've also seen our defensive line not be able to win one-on-ones without some games. So those are what present problems, because if you're having to put pressure on him, he has the ability to run. He also has the ability to throw it right over where you're blitzing from. They've got to do some things. But what I saw encouraging yesterday, who came up when Lagway made the run? Arian Carter, I thought, had his best game. It wasn't statistically his best game, but where he was making plays, coming up and meeting the guy in the backfield, I thought he was playing. I think he's going to have to be the big contributor in this game to say, how do I take away the run game from him in that part of the game?
VFL Mike Stoll, usually a part of our panel, couldn't be here today. We talked on the phone before the show. He said, man, I would take Arian Carter and I would say, see Diego Pavia there? He's your guy. Whatever happens, you follow him. So same line of thinking. Marlon, your thoughts on Diego Pavia and the challenge he presents to a Tennessee defense that probably had its best game yesterday?
He will be your toughest challenge, and for 2 reasons. First of all, he's tough, meaning you can hit this guy in the face as he's getting ready to football. He's going to jump right back up and talk a little bit back to you. A lot of guys, quarterback-wise, don't have that kind of mentality, right? You start seeing ghosts, especially when guys are hitting you. This guy kind of like he puts on more steam and get rolling as you get after him. The other thing is he's motivated. He said way before the season, we're going to run the state this year. He wants this game. He wants this game in Knoxville. He wants this game to go to the playoff. And so, yes, he's going to be your toughest challenge. He is very creative. If a play breaks down, he's not just standing back there. He's going to get loose. Eyes are still down the field, and he can stick his foot in the ground and go get you 5 or 10 more yards. So the guy's tough, and he's motivated. He's definitely going to be your toughest challenge this season.
They tried to bait him into saying something yesterday after the game. I saw the press conference. He may have said something later, but the only thing I saw was somebody asking about Tennessee. And he said, you want me to say something? He said, I've just heard great things about that stadium, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. Now, the problem for him is everybody still has that stuff he said on YouTube from back in August. My question to you two, because we talked about this on the Saturday show. You guys are both on the Saturday kickoff preview show we do. When Arkansas came to town and their running back Mike Washington chirped about Tennessee's defense, the thought was, okay, you got to shut this guy down. They didn't. They didn't. Is that a concern that somebody else came out and ran their gums, flapped their gums at him, and they didn't stop them? Does it worry you that all the trash talk in the world from Pavia isn't going to be much of a motivating factor for Tennessee's defense?
It concerns me to a point just because this guy's backing it up so far this season. You always hate a guy that talks, but when he can back it up, you kind of got to give him the go-ahead. But it doesn't concern me in the fact that it will be bulletin board material. It's probably been bulletin board material for the entire season. And, I mean, from being down there, I already know there's probably plastered on everybody's locker, some printout piece of paper that has every comment. It's on every wall in that locker room. So they're paying attention to it, and they're looking at it. But, I mean, the same thing to your point, it obviously didn't give you the edge against Arkansas. So you want to hopefully say that it does, because this one does mean a little bit more than that Arkansas game.
Go ahead.
I would just say, if I'm building the defensive line the way he's running his mouth, my job would be to put him out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm not saying permanently, but I'm saying I'd go for the knockout. And I'd go, hey, we're just going to go to a bowl game, so I'm going to miss the first half of a bowl game. I'm going to take my shot if I get it. And so, I mean, that's the way my mentality would be, is like, if I put this guy out of the game, we're going to win. And so at the end of the day.
And you're talking about a hard hit, not a dirty hit.
No, not a dirty hit. I'm just talking about but I may go high. Right? You know, I may go for a helmet shot. You know, I'm gonna do something like that.
Okay, so maybe a dirty hit.
You know, but
Don't say I didn't throw you the life raft there.
But, you know, I'm not trying to injure his knee, but I'm gonna try to rattle your cage, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think if I was that game with the way he's run his mouth, man, back in the day, the SEC, if you used to run your mouth like that, people made you pay a price.
Mm-hmm. And that's the point right there, Will. You said back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that kind of defense where we've got a stud guy that's like, all right, that cat there is a
Yeah, who's your meanest guy on this defense?
right.
Yeah.
So I would say, hey, listen, contain the guy, hit him when you can, but let's go get the win and spoil their playoff picture. Yes, Will, back in those days, those defenses you played on when you got that stud Mike linebacker that's, you know what I'm saying, bulletin board. In this game, go get the W. We'll shut them up after that. We're good.
They handled him pretty easily last year, but that was a much better Tennessee defense. My thinking is, could that be scheme? Was that just a better defense? I think it was probably just a better defense. Daniel, final word. What do you think about? You're the Daniel Lama, always a peace-loving Zen man.
Yeah.
Can you believe mean old Will Overstreet down here?
No. I mean, we played with Kiffin one year, and we had a quarterback. I think it was at UCLA that was running his mouth, and that was our goal as a defensive line before the game was to put him out of the game. That's how you play the position. We may not always talk about it all the time, but they should go out there and do it. Whether they will, we'll see.
The Sports Source. Go find that on some other show. All right. When we come back, 3 up, 3 down from yesterday's game. Who are the best players on the field for the Volunteers? How can they find 3 downs? We got the Vultures. They'll figure something out. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Christmas almost here. What better gift for the person you love most in life than a new boat? Bob, you've got a boat from Madisonville Marine.
Yes, I do.
What if
and
somebody
I love
gave?
it. I actually built it at its own house in my house.
He built a shed just for that boat. Folks, if you want to love a boat, as Bob loves his boat, get to Madisonville Marine. Whether it's a new boat or a pre-owned boat, they've got great deals, great warranties, and everything you could possibly want. Check them out. Go down there at Highway 411 North in Madisonville. Tell Joe Special and the team that we said hello, because there's no better place to buy a boat. Let's take a look. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do the open first.
Sunshine Sterling. Willie Rain Club. It's time for 3 up, 3 down. This is the Sports Source.
I love that Will shot there. Now, let's take a look at the poll results, see what the final word. Okay, 19% of you, it stayed pretty similar the whole way through. 19% of you say that Florida win's going to hold up no matter what. But the other 81% of you say, nope, means nothing if you lose to Vanderbilt. There you go. Okay, we got 3 up, 3 down, and we'll try and make up a little time here. Okay. Gentlemen, Sterling and Chuck, who are your ups for yesterday's game?
Well, my up right now is Hard Size Bank Mortgage Officer. Make sure you remortgage Willie Rain Cloud's house, because he said he put his mortgage up. I want to go get that mortgage officer at Hard Size Bank. First things first.
Last week's pick, yeah.
Yes, sir. But right now, my up, and I think this guy is really married to Beyonce. I'm going to start calling him Mr. Carter. Aaron Carter's playing like, whoa! I'm just saying he's all across the board, all across the whole field, making tackles from sideline to sideline, impacting every play. I mean, you've got times he's running, cutting off angles, cutting back so another teammate can make a play. Mr. Carter's playing real good ball right now. He's my first up.
Very good. Chuck?
I think we got to have Deshaun Bishop, correct?
Yes.
I mean, when we've mentioned the career high, 24 tackles, 116,
24 carries.
24 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, leaping over the pile. That's the photo I want on my wall. But what I want to mention, guys, twice was not able to get up right after the play. It took him a while, but he stayed in the game.
Yes.
Now, I tell you what, that's the guy I want on my team.
Absolutely.
Who's number 3 up?
Number 3 is my guy. He was on the other side last week. I couldn't argue it, but he's on the side he's supposed to be on this week. My quarterback, Joey Aguilar. This guy's playing good ball. John mentioned it in a couple of segments prior. He was in control of the entire game. He had a strip sack situation. He ran and got the ball. That's the type of guy I want on my team. Joey, keep on doing big things this week coming.
And we got a graphic here to show you something. Take a look at this. The last 3 quarterbacks to win in Gainesville. You got Joey Aguilar just added himself to this list. Casey Clausen won down there in 2001, 2003. How many people would have known that prior to that? You go back to 1971. Phil Pierce. I think he won that on a pass to Stan Trott to win that game. So it wasn't Scott to Trott, it was Pierce to Trott. Our old buddy Bobby Scott was already in the NFL at that point. But that's your last 3 quarterbacks to win in Gainesville. A couple other people I want to throw out as positives that you could put on the list. Jeremiah Telander, 10 tackles last night. The whole offensive line. We don't do line positions, we do player, but I'm cheating, I'm the host.
Yeah.
I'll say the whole offensive line played really well last night, 248 rushing yards. But then the other guy who doesn't get a lot of Jackson Ross, only punted twice, 90 yards on those punts and dropped them deep on both of them. So I thought Jackson Ross, nice job punting last night. Let's talk about negatives. Do we keep it with special teams at some point here?
Well, John, you said the whole offensive line, so we had one of our downs. So Bennett Ward comes in for David Sanders. He got hurt. First two plays, not very good. Kind of whiff, not really there, causing issues for the offense. Just he's a young player, got to get more experience and get playing time. But just that was definitely a down when you have to pick some.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one, and after a game like that, you do have to nitpick just a little bit. And so I'm going to go with Max Gilbert. He missed a 50-yard field goal.
Free cookies.
He missed on free cookies, so everybody's mad at him. But, saying that after he missed the kick, he hadn't missed an extra point since he's been here.
Right.
And that's good.
Right.
And this year, he's 12 out of 15.
12 of 15, which it doesn't seem that good.
It doesn't seem like he's been that good. So picking on him just a little bit, but number 2 would be Max Gilbert.
Who's number 3 down?
Number 15, Farouk. He gave up the touchdown, the running back. You can't let a safety, can't let a running back beat you to the point and go run by you. You got to be able to defend that. And I know Florida was pounding it. So you walk up closer and closer and closer, and then they popped one on you. But still, got to stop that. Can't let that happen.
Good job from the Vultures. Good job for the Doves with it being a win. The victory goes to the Doves.
Baby.
Big
Sunshine.
win,
Team
baby.
Sunshine.
Big win.
I didn't know he was having a game.
I'm just trying to make it positive. Just making it all positive. When we come back, let's play ... and that's going to include a little talk about Joey Aguilar and where he'll be quarterbacking next year. We'll be back in Knoxville. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Express Frame. Folks, if you're looking for local artwork to give as a Christmas gift, Express Frame has lots to choose from. If you want to frame a photo or shadow box, a family heirloom by Christmas, you need to get to Express Frame this week, ASAP. The Sports Source Digital Network studio, if you watch our YouTube channel or the Saturday Kickoff show, you see all that stuff on the walls. That is all just a big gallery for Express Frame. 99.9% of the stuff in there, Express Frame. Trust me, they know what they're doing. They take good care of you, hopefully in time by Christmas if you get in there this week. All right. Time for our segment ... but I just told these guys who were prepared to talk a little Lane Kiffin. We're punting because we're kind of behind it on the clock, and I know what people want to hear from, so we're not doing ... Instead, we're just getting to the fact that yesterday we learned, or Friday we learned, that Joey Aguilar had added his name to the Diego Pavia lawsuit. I'm not going to go through all the legalese. The bottom line is he's trying to make sure that one of his JUCO years doesn't count against his NCAA eligibility. If he wins that lawsuit, he could come back next year or go somewhere else. He would have that choice to make, decide what he wants to do. And he has said previously, I just want to, we'll take a look at everything that's out there. I'm sure he'd like to go to the NFL. But he's making good money at Tennessee, you would think, and my guess is he would make better money next year after this. Josh Ward, thoughts on Joey Aguilar? Do you think he will be, and this is just a huge dart at the board, because I would have said Zakai Ziegler would win his case too, and he didn't. Do you think Joey Aguilar has much of a chance of being back at Tennessee next year?
It is a difficult guess anytime we're talking about eligibility and the NCAA and the courts being involved, so it is a guess here. My guess is that the players will not succeed because there has been talk from other judges about the slippery slope, and the players were Pavia and Miles Kitzelman and Joey Aguilar. They got an extra year this year with a blanket waiver to that year's class. But it becomes a much bigger issue if they're successful in court and we start talking about junior college not counting, and we're talking about on a regular basis 24 and 25-year-old players in college and perhaps older. And I'm not in favor of that. So I'm going to guess that they're not successful, but I don't have a strong belief either way. I would not be surprised if they're successful because of other rulings that have taken place. This is a big deal, though, to me. This is a big case for the future of college sports.
Well, it's kind of, you look at all the crazy ways people are playing now. You got basketball players who are now allowed to go to the G League and then come back, which I don't really grasp that either. Yeah. This would be, he's angling for an 8th year of college football.
That's probably,
Joey Aguilar.
yeah, the toughest part right there, right? Because it's 2 years of JUCO, correct?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
what-
2.
is- yeah, which I think that you can make a case about that. I give him a fighting chance to win. I mean, why not?
Bob?
I'm there too. I think he's got a chance to win. The question then becomes, if he does win,
This is
what's
where I was
the
going.
dominoes
Right.
falling for Tennessee? But I think he has a fighting chance.
All
to
right,
win.
Tennessee next year could have Jake Merklinger. Most people think he'll transfer, but he hasn't said that.
Right.
And he continues to be the first guy off the bench when they get their quarterbackups in there. George McIntyre was a 4 or 5 star guy, depending on the service, I guess. He could be there next year. A lot of people were thinking he would be the guy to compete with Faison Brandon, who's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, 5-star quarterback. He's signing this year. He's committed to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you could have, technically, Merklinger, McIntyre, Brandon. I don't know that any of those would be the starter next year. If you bring back Aguilar, you would assume Tennessee would look at what they've got this year and go, yeah, give me more of that. But what impact, what dominoes fall with those other guys if Aguilar's here? That isn't bringing somebody from the portal in as a to
Right.
compete. That's his job. And Brandon's going to sit, probably would anyway. But McIntyre's going to have a second year on the bench, or he's going to transfer out, you would think. And my guess is, again, Merklinger's gone. Josh, your thoughts on that? What dominoes fall if he gets cleared, if he comes back? Tennessee would probably want him. What happens with the other guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a financial complication too because George McIntyre and Faison Brandon are 2 highly touted quarterbacks who will make a good amount of money next year. And I'm with you on what you mentioned there a moment ago with Aguilar. His price tag next year should be higher if he's a college quarterback.
Yeah.
The season that he's put together at Tennessee means he deserves more money, whether that's from Tennessee or another school that could come calling and say, hey, we want you to come here. We've got money for you.
And the revenue
and I would
sharing
consider
means
that a
there's-
time.
Yeah, and the revenue sharing means there's a cap
Yeah.
now. You didn't have the cap. You can't just say, we'll get this guy and he'll pay for it, because if you take it in the NIL route, you got to go get that approved through the commission, the College Sports Commission. They're behind. They don't have a lot of people doing it. Would they even approve a deal? It has to be a legit deal. Chuck, would you want Aguilar back even if it meant losing some of those other guys?
Yeah, if he wins his case, yeah, I do. I do want him back the way he's played, because I think he, by far, look how much experience he has. To me, that is the thing that's you got to look at. And then I don't know if Merklinger would be the only one to transfer out.
Right, I think
That's what you're I think you would be looking at, someone else is going to go. So you just got to see how that plays out.
If you can afford it.
Yeah.
But I will say, if I can get Aguilar back next year, yes, I will take it. He has played well enough. You would think, okay, does he get a little bit better next year for us? So if he can come back, I bring him back.
The only issue with Aguilar has been the 10 interceptions, and that's, everything else has been champagne and roses. Okay.
We also don't know, would Tennessee, if Aguilar's leaving, would they look in the transfer portal because somebody's leaving from the other 3.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with 2 young, inexperienced quarterbacks.
You've got to get somebody.
Yeah, you've got to get somebody. So you can also, in this conversation, compare Aguilar to that option, that unknown option.
Unless you go and get a guy who's, like Ole Miss, you go get a guy from Ferris State.
Right. Are you getting a proven guy or a lower level guy?
Yeah, because you
Or
can
does
get
everybody
somebody
want
cheaper.
you to go get a guy from Texas?
Yeah, you can get Arch Manning. That'd be even more money. All right, when we come back, what's it like for a Tennessee player to play against Vanderbilt and come out on the wrong side? Hate to do this to him, but we got 3 guys on this set who actually had that happen. We're going to ask him, is a loss to Vanderbilt the worst loss you're going to have? That's next. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Al Wilson's hard-hitting tee. In terms of all-timers, Al Wilson is that. You might remember him having a little bit of a day against Florida back in 1998. Well, now he's got a drink that is an all-timer. He's crafted a mix of Southern tea and apple wine. Just a kiss of apple flavor after you sip it. Al Wilson's hard-hitting tea. You can find it all over the place. You can also find it by getting to hardhittingtea.com and reaching out there. You'll have to taste it to believe it. Visit their website, and please drink responsibly. Okay, let me show you this. From 2012 to 2018, Vanderbilt won 5 of 7 games against Tennessee. That includes a 3-game winning streak, 16-17. That's hard to fathom. And if you go all the way back to 2005, they won 7 out of 14. So a 14-year span, they were 50-50 with the Volunteers. Unfortunately, Ollie Lane, Daniel Hood, and Marlon Walls all played in that era, 2012 to 2018. And they don't like me for this, but I'm going to throw it over to those guys and ask them, is a Vandy loss worse than any other loss? Is it different? Let's hear how painful a loss to Vanderbilt is. Marlon Walls, my apologies, don't hit me, but that's your question.
Well, John, I want to hit somebody. about to pass a couple of these out, man. Yeah, guys, we were part of that unfortunate deal of allowing Vanderbilt to win a football game either in Neyland Stadium or even in Nashville because we take over the stadium. But I want to know from you guys, man, how painful was that? What is your memory of that moment? And then we'll reflect a little bit.
The thing that always stuck in my head from that loss to Vanderbilt was just the way they celebrated on us. I mean, the way they made it hurt. That year that we lost to them, it was to play us into a bowl game or them in a bowl game. They got the bowl game. We got to go home in December and sit on the couches. And so it stuck in our minds. I remember very vividly Trey Smith would talk about it all offseason. You remember how Derek Mason and them celebrated on us after they beat us. They plant their flag and all that stuff. And we remembered it. We took out that pain following year in 2019, did the same celebrations to them that they did to us. So these things burn memories into your brain, and you remember them next time you guys play.
Yeah, and of course we lost on senior night. That one was pretty awful. We were in the horrible gray jerseys, but it's just to me it's the second worst loss. To me, the worst loss is when we lost to Kentucky. And we lost the streak of like 30 straight times. That one was the one I remember just getting on the bus and looking at my reflection in the glass like, what in the...
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Let me save you there.
Yeah. I was just like, that's when I was looking in the mirror. I was like, should I even be playing football? But that was my worst one.
Here's what I remember about that. It hurt because, first of all, we view Vandy a certain way. Mm-hmm. They're going to take the cheap shots. They're going to do all the dirty stuff. Those are guys that sometimes are from the state of Tennessee that wish they could have played at Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And so those are like your little brothers. You always want to beat up on them. They're going to take their cheap shots, all the rest of that. But you know at the end of the game, score is going to be 50-something to 10. So, man, that thing was tough. I'd never forget it because in that moment, they could say they ran the state of Tennessee. And so that's one of those things you do not want to happen. Unfortunately, it did. I will say a positive out of that was we knew the first time that Derek Dooley was going to be fired, and it hurt a little bit less, I would say. But anyways, John, man, that's how we feel about it. We know we cannot lose this game this Saturday. Pavia's going to run his mouth. We've got to continue to run the state of Tennessee.
Very good, guys. Thank you very much. Vanderbilt, dirty, cheap shots. Why didn't Overstreet play over there? All right. When we come back, let's preview Vols versus Commodores. We got some prop bets for you. We've got new leader atop the pick segment board for the last week. We're coming down to the wire. There are no more maximum bets. You can go all in. It's going to be interesting. Stick around. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. I was talking to J.J. Surlis last night. He was enjoying that victory. Wired, wireless security systems, they can do either one. Camera systems, they got those. Gate and access control systems, they got that. Whether you need a security system for your business or if you need a security system for your home. The team to call, Safety Systems. Call VFL J.J. Surlis And the crew there will take good care of you as they have me, lo these many years. SafetySystems.com. All right, we are back for our segment of Will They or Won't They? John Pennington joined by Chuck Cavaleris, Josh Ward, and then we got our 5 VFLs. If we can cut to there we go. Look at them there. They're ready to go with their thumbs. All right, question number 1. Diego Pavia has averaged 408 yards passing over his last 3 games. He's averaged 408 over his last 3 games. Will he throw for 375 yards versus Tennessee? Okay, we got a couple of no's, and I'm not surprised by Sterling at all. But Willie Raincloud doesn't think he'll do it.
That's a lot. I mean, just to say, I know he's done it the last couple games, but 375 in a game is an awful lot to say I'm going to take that.
Okay, very good. Sterling?
I don't think he's going to throw for 375. He's a good player, probably do a lot of good things, but 375, that's a lot of yards.
A lot at Neyland Stadium. Chuck, will he get 375?
No, he'd be a little bit under that.
Okay, very good. I just wonder what everybody would be saying if Tennessee had lost to Florida last night. I feel there's a little bit of that post-Florida bounce, I think. Okay. Tennessee averages more than 14 points in the first quarters of games this season. They did it again last night. Will the Vols score 14 or more in the first quarter versus Vanderbilt? Are we going to have any no's up there? It's all yeses. Everybody, it's that Sunshine State glow that's going. Josh, do the Vols get 14 on Vandy in the first quarter?
I lean yes because of last night, and they've just been a really good first quarter offense. I would confidently say 2 scores. So do they get in the end zone twice is the big question. So I don't get to chuck the answer here.
Yeah,
so,
Cavaleris the question.
I will say yes with the VFLs.
All right, very good. Next question. Vanderbilt averages 30.5 points per game versus SEC defenses. They have scored at least 30 in 5 of their 7 SEC games this year, so it's not like they're building up their stats with the lame teams they play. Will Vanderbilt score 30 or more versus Tennessee? Okay, all right, so I know Sterling's saying no for a reason. How come? Let me get Ollie, Marlon, and Daniel. Why are you going with yes?
Look, I mean, just you look at this defense and you look at Vanderbilt's offense, there's a mismatch there. Our defense hasn't really been as electric as you want them to be, so I don't see Vanderbilt having an issue to get to 30 points.
Pavia's a heck of a football player. I think he's going to get him to 30. I think it's going to be a shootout. I just think we win that shootout.
Yeah, and I'm with Marlon. I think it's going to be a shootout to win this game. Joey's going to have to throw a lot. In our defense, we still got some young guys at corner.
Okay, all right. Very good. I got one more for you. What do you guys think? Well, I'll go back to Chuck on that one. Will Vandy score 30?
You would think so. I mean, that's what the track record said. So they've done it. You said 5 out of 7 games?
In the SEC.
SEC, so yeah, I'd say yes.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Vanderbilt is giving up 248 yards passing per game, near the bottom of the SEC. Really one of their few weaknesses, if you look statistically speaking. Will Joey Aguilar throw for at least 275 versus the Commodores? Yes, everybody's yesing. A whole lot of yeses, a lot of positivity from that crew. Let's go to Josh Ward over here. Will Joey Aguilar throw for 275 against Vanderbilt?
I would not be surprised. I lean a little bit no because I do wonder, are they going to lean more on Bishop in this ground game and what they've done? The last 2 games, they've needed to get an extra throw late in the game for Joey to hit the 200-yard mark, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. That was a good thing for how they were operating the offense.
I think if he throws for 275, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I would rather see them go in with the game plan they had last night. Now, they built an early lead, but be able to run that ball, control the clock, and keep Pavia and that offense off the field, that's what I would be hoping for. So that's interesting. Okay, when we come back, we got plenty of time to talk about the leaders at the top of the board, our final pick of the year for the regular season. Of course, who's going to win the picks contest and what's going to happen with Tennessee and Vanderbilt next week. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Folks, if you're looking for the perfect Christmas gift, you need to get to Games and Things or visit ourgameroom.com. They're located at the corner of Lovell Road and Kingston Pike. Scott and Lisa Mellon do a terrific job out there. You can find everything from home theater seats to arcade games, from jukeboxes to pool tables, and then the smaller stuff too. You got somebody who likes to play darts, you can buy just darts. You can buy dart boards. They got card sets, poker chips, you name it. They got it at Games and Things. Visit them this week because life should be fun. Okay, beat the house standings. Well, life isn't fun for me. I just keep nosediving. So I've gone from second place down there into the Will Overstreet zone with the skull and crossbones. It's almost over, Will. You've had to listen to this for 2 months now. Jimmy is now in the lead, alphabetically speaking. He won last week. He went the opposite of Bob and Mike Stoll, so that gives him the win. He's at 700. Mike is at 700. Bob's at 500, tied with Daniel and Josh at 500. Marlon, Ollie, and Sterling all got 100. They survived last week. And as I said, I did not survive last week. Well, I survived, but barely, down to 100, last place. And Chuck, that was a loss of $400 at the casino this week. So,
Oh, poor guy. I'll give you some money, buddy.
willing to work for food. So, all right, Chuck, in terms of the pick, you got about 60 seconds here. Tennessee Vandy, where are you setting the line?
I tell you what, John, when I look at this, I actually think Vanderbilt could be considered a favorite in many circles. The way they play, it's not just Diego Pavia. Eli Stowers, that also transferred from New Mexico, is probably their best pro prospect, and he plays kind of a tight end, even wide receiver. They got Trey Richardson, who caught 2 long touchdown passes against Kentucky. He's been clocked with that GPS thing at 21 miles an hour. So they're going to blitz Tennessee. I think you can just about take that to the bank. And one last thing, you should not have to look far to find his family in the stands and friends. There'll probably be about 150 of them wearing Pavia for Heisman t-shirts. I had them on yesterday. I'm going to set this line basically as a home field line. I've got the Vols favored by 3.5.
All right, Vols by 3.5, and I believe that's close to the real line this week.
Yes.
Your job is to split the panel.
Right.
Of course, this week, I know what everybody's going to be doing. They're going to be betting based on their chances of winning. I already asked. You told me what your pick was going to be earlier, so I already got in touch with Jimmy since he's not here today, a little under the weather, and he told me what he wanted to do, and he is putting 400 of his 700 on Tennessee. All right? So I then went and told Mike Stoll that, and he said, well, I will trump Jimmy. I am putting 700 on Tennessee. So if Tennessee wins, there's no one that can catch Mike Stoll. I asked Bob, and he went all in with his $500 on Vanderbilt. He said he would pick Tennessee otherwise, but because he's got to try and win here, he's taking Vandy for 500. To try and pull into a tie, I'm going to guess, what are Daniel and Josh going to do?
Yeah.
I'm not looking to finish fourth here.
Yeah.
So
500 on Vandy?
500 on Vandy, yeah.
500 Vandy?
500 on Vandy.
Well, I thought you may do something on principle.
Anchor down.
Okay, so I wrote T. I meant V.
Yeah, would you rather finish third with Tennessee or first with Vandy?
There you go.
It could be a tough VFL.
Okay, Marlon, you've got $200. You can go all in.
All right, I'm gonna go all in. Let's go Tennessee.
All right, yeah. For us, it doesn't matter. It's
No,
real.
I don't.
Ollie, what do you think's happening?
I'm all Vol, man. All in on the Vols.
200 on the Vols. Okay, Sterling.
I'm all in, all Vols, baby. 200 on the Vols, baby. Let's get it.
Wondered where he was
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
all
go with
in
that.
too. 100 on Tennessee. And Will, who would you go with here? Tennessee or Vanderbilt?
Well,
I'm surprised that, I mean,
Please say Tennessee.
I'd go with Vanderbilt.
I think there may be a little bit of a glow from the Florida win that's seeping in here. That Vanderbilt offense is pretty good.
Yep.
And that defense, while Jimmy did text me and say that he pointed out last week the defense is improving, so he wanted that known. That, see, told you. I don't think they're improved that much. So I'm surprised that Chuck's line is 3.5 and that the actual line is 3.5, to be honest with you. I think a lot of that has to do with the folks in Vegas know there's a reputation thing. And the average gambler, the Joe Average, not serious gambler, is just going to say, oh, Tennessee Vandy? Tennessee. So I think that probably plays some role into it. Before we get into our teases here at the end, just 1 second. We were talking about you guys, how much you hate Vanderbilt. dirty shots, cheap, they talk a lot, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure they say the things about Tennessee. Sterling,
Yes.
you had an interesting story you were telling us there that I had forgotten or never heard about stolen jerseys.
Oh, let me tell you something now. We have
About a
some
minute.
legendary equipment men, Roger Frazier and Max Parrott. Well, one day we were going down when I was playing with Tennessee, played at Vandy, and they lined our jerseys up in our lockers the night before. Came down the morning, fortunately it was a night game, no jerseys. So they had to come back to Knoxville, get them shipped back to Nashville. I don't know how they did it, but Max made it happen. And let me tell you something, there was no way we were going to lose that game. Max was so juiced up. I mean, Coach Mays let Max give the motivation speech. It was crazy.
There you go.
It was crazy.
Vanderbilt stealing Tennessee's jerseys. That sounds like something out of the 1930s. All right. Thanks to all these guys. I want to tell you, if you like Vanderbilt stories, there were some that these guys can't tell. This is my favorite show. The Final Word, I sit down with Ollie, Daniel, Marlon. There were some stories that I wouldn't let you get out there because of the censorship rules. Yeah. We're going to tell those on The Final Word. Folks can find that Tuesday on our YouTube channel, Sports Source Digital Network. And, of course, next Saturday, you can catch us for our Tennessee Vanderbilt preview right here on Channel 6 and on the Sports Source Digital Network as well. And if you're in the Mid-State, you can catch it on CW Nashville, but that's 11 a.m. next week. Thanks to everyone for watching. Congratulations on the big victory. Have a great Thanksgiving. See you next week.